case hits are obviously a much bigger part of the, card hobby now versus when you started, or 5 years. I feel like that's a market that's probably changed pretty heavily. It's definitely evolved. How did you get into that piece of the hobby, and why do you stay so much in there now? Because you do a lot of it, and I know you, and I know you have a lot of success in it. So why, how and why case
Right.
hits?
So I really credit buying the downtowns and the kabooms to really jump starting a lot of my stuff in terms of profit and moving cards a lot. Just because essentially when I was buying them at first, I was early into the market. I was literally clicking them on eBay.
I remember you
selling them for
50
to 60 to 70 to 80 to $100+ over what they were selling for. So like I jumped in early and thought, okay, I'm doing really well in this market. So, and I've always been one to myself say, hey, do what you're good at. That's what I was good at first. I was buying case hits and watching them continuously grow. I believed in that market as soon as possible because I saw what the instant result was selling them. I would literally buy them on eBay, put them in a showcase. They were gone for $50 more almost every time. So you do that 10, 20, 30 times at a show, you start talking some serious money. So I just kept doing that. I was really good at it, and I still do it. Like I said, I was very early, so I was buying like downtown Pandoras out of 25 and golds for like $300 and $400.
I've seen these
so
comps.
We'll clip them. I'll send them to you. And it was absolutely insane. I think one of the ones I have looked up recently, I bought a Jameson Williams
I remember this.
Pandora out of 25 for I think $340 or something like that. It's probably, I would assume $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 now. So
900/1,000, not 900,000. I don't want somebody to be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. $900,000 card. I took it as 900 to 1,000 originally, but 900 to 1,000.
So like that
it's
to me,
gotta be more than that though.
It might be. It might be now.
B-Dub, what's that worth? Because a Reggie Wayne Pandora to 25's got to be. When I saw that, I mean, I think those were like 1,500 when we picked that up at Fort Wayne. So we'll look that up here and get a comp for that. But sorry to interrupt.
No. So I've just kind of stuck to what I was good at and did that for a while. And now it's still going on. Now I pay a little bit stronger now than I have to sometimes just because everyone at this point watches the content. If they do, they're like, okay, this guy buys downtowns, kabooms, take him to him. He'll buy them from you. And I always do. So I've done really good in that market. But I like the market still going forward. I mean, there's the real reason I kept going with it is Whatnot started shortly after.
Yep.
And I saw every repacker that was in there doing it had every time they were doing breaks, had a case hit box.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, if they're running 12 to 10 or 10 to 12 to 15 to 18 shows a day, and each one of them has a case hit in it, the demand's only going to get higher because you need them. So I just kept buying them and kept flipping them, and we still do it today. And then they're still consistently where they're at now. So
there's a lot of things I like in there. Again, you talk about one thing I'm always curious about. I always love getting this from people is, you mention find what you're good at and stick to that and just crush. And this is the one thing I'll give Brent a lot of credit for is, I always ask him like, why don't you buy this? Like, why don't you buy this? Like, because I've always said, we'll buy anything if it makes sense. If it makes sense, you make dollars, it makes sense. And Brent is very big on, we buy these things sell. I know these things really well. And I think that's something that, people go about it different ways, but you've had a ton of success being like, this is what I buy, this is what I sell, and it works really, really well for you. So I love that. Again, I don't think that is what's been successful for us. I feel like it's probably bitten me, a couple times because, we'll take chances on a lot of things and, get crushed, whether that's wax or a different sport we know. So it definitely leads to, things, but I've also enjoyed like the lesson behind why we don't buy this or why we do buy this, I think you'll learn a lot that way, but I also think there's something to be said about buying the thing, always sells and doing, and doing well with it. And then also, spotting the trend before it happens. I've seen some of the downtown screenshots before, and like you said, what evolved from early days and whatnot. Eventually, supply and demand is if every repacker in the country needs these, there's not enough of them to go around. You get to the point where you've got no names or bad names, like Henry Ruggs and Deshaun Watson have downtowns and kabooms, and people buy those. Like, why? Those have no real long-term value. You know, Brian looked it up earlier to give some credit. Like, Jameson Williams Pandora is $1,000. That was the last comp. So yeah, definitely not a bad buy. But yeah, Brian's looking it up. You know, Henry Ruggs Kaboom, $151, $130, $200 for an, what is that, SGC 10?
I mean, what's an RPA do? A lot less. Like,
Yeah.
You start looking up case hits and kabooms, and especially Henry Ruggs, like, look at the difference just in a case hit to like his RPAs and stuff like that.